season, our schools will be targeted. So MEC will give us the update. MEC, and we'll do a Q&A after.
Good morning. I know that we are a bit behind in time. I know the
contingent.
Yeah. I must be away with iPads. Okay. Thank you very much once more for this opportunity. We are going to just give an update on four areas. The exams, online admission, school safety, and school readiness for the 2024. The National Senior Certificate process examination period went very well. We had over 188,075 candidates, of which 1,300,000 were full-time and 54,000 were part-time. The examination period began on the 30th of October until the 6th of December. The process was tightly monitored from the aspect of security, the monitoring of the papers, how we gathered the examination papers to the schools, the process of opening up the papers, as well as the invigilators. So everything went accordingly, and we did get a thumbs up from Umalusi in managing that process. So everything went smoothly. The examination, it had no hinges. The only thing that was there were about 51 overall irregularities that occurred, of which 45 were learners, 45 of them were 45 learners caught with crib notes, trying to copy, and then we had 5 learners who were in possession of cell phones, and then we had 1 imposter trying to write an examination on behalf of. So that shows that our invigilators were vigilant. They were able to pick up all these 45 learners. But overall, as you can see, it's a drop in the ocean compared to the number of candidates that we had writing this National Senior Certificate of 188,000. So it was just 51. So we were able to deal with them, and we had warned, because when we began this process, learners signed a pledge, 2 pledges in our province in particular. One that guides them on how to conduct themselves in the examination period, a commitment from them. And the second one is for mental health. So our learners, we need to applaud how they handled this whole process. So we did warn them about, obviously, the implications of being caught with such irregularities, such as these ones, 45 learners with crib notes. They stand to lose 2 to 3 years suspension, unable to really write the National Senior Certificate. So the marking process has begun. We had the first session of marking that began on the 16th of November. 16th of November to the 28th of November. But that was not for all, it was at specific schools. But the main one began on the 3rd of December, and we're looking to conclude on the 20th across different 25 marking centers across the province. I will not mention them here for security purposes, as you know. So there's currently that process being taking place, and we've got a big number, 10,541 personnel appointed to deal with the whole process of marking and monitoring. So we are very comfortable. We are at that final stage. We are comfortable that so far so good. There's not been anything really that can compromise or potentially threaten the credibility of the whole process. So we've gotten thumbs up from Umalusi and DB itself. So we are anticipating the results to be released, of course, on the 18th of January, national results by the minister, and then the provincial ones will release them on the 19th of January, and then obviously then learners can then go and get their NSC certificates on time. This is quite significant. We know that our learners in Gauteng have really done well. They've really put effort into this National Senior Certificate. The National Senior Certificate is a very credible certificate across the world, is highly recognized. So we know that our learners really did put effort, and are confident of the results. We're very confident of the result as a province, that we'll get a very high number of our learners passing, and the target still remains that we anticipate at least, we want everyone to pass. That's our ultimate goal as a province. But we're anticipating a good result from our learners, because we prepared them very well, and they also prepared themselves very well throughout the year and throughout their whole schooling term. So I'm going to move to the second one, the online admission. Just a quick recap. We had received 305,981 applications, of which 273,186 were complete applications. These are parents who complied fully with all the requirements that were needed. And we had another 32,000 of that number which had incomplete applications. They did not submit all the necessary documents that are required, including home address and so forth. So from the complete applications, we have managed to place 99.8% of them. 99.8% of them. So we're left with just a few, 0.2%, which is quite significant, because I know you've been following us for the last couple of years. We are at a better state than we've ever been since we started with online admission. We're left with a small number. Safe to say, of course, some parents, obviously there are some, those who have objected, and we were looking at that, but the number of objections are far less to what we've normally would have received by now from most of our parents. So it's quite less, and we're handling them correctly. And most of the parents have really been working with us closely, supporting what we are trying to do. And this is linked with an appeal that we always seek from our parents, that Gauteng as an education system is growing very fast. We're growing at about 30,000 learners a year. So every year we get an extra 30,000. So you could understand the pressure on the system. You know, it's not an ideal situation that we'd want to find ourselves as a province, but you know that in migration to urban centers across the world, Gauteng will be one of those, and it's demonstrated with our system. So the system is growing. We're not building schools fast enough, so we find ourselves here. So the appeal with parents is that they need to work with us all the time. So with the incomplete applications, we also began to place them. So there's few of them that is left, which is about 0.1%. Also there on their side. And the thing about, obviously, incomplete application, we started processing them because of they applied on time, but maybe the parents could not submit these documents or that document. So we've said that we offer those learners spaces, but they need to still go and take those documents to the schools that we've offered them. So those parents, and unfortunately, but these parents can't object. The only ones that can really object are the ones with complete applications and on time. But so far, this is a good. It's a look. We would want 100%, but we will have 100%. What we can say about this process now is that by the 17th of January, when schools open, all this the 0.2% will be placed. So we're anticipating a greater, much more enthusiastic academic year, as opposed to what we've been having from the past few years. So overall, the picture is quite pleasing that we've gone this far. And yes, there are parents that obviously the 0.2 that the kids have not really been placed, or they are unhappy with the transfers and that. So we're looking into that, and it's an engagement, it's a dialogue. We're speaking to the parents. We say, let us work with each other. This is the situation. This is the current modeling interventions that we've put in place to make sure that your children are placed in school. So we will open up for late applications. This is for, and the late application process will begin on the 18th of December until the 31st of January. These parents are parents who didn't apply at all. And you know that obviously people get jobs into Gauteng, and they come to Gauteng for greater opportunities, better opportunities. And if you check the last stats reports, statistics reports spoke about how Gauteng economy is growing faster than all other provinces, including Western Cape and KZN combined. The economic growth of the province, so obviously more opportunities, people will then come in. But these parents, we are just going to show them where are the schools. They don't have a luxury of saying, I want this one. We are going to tell them this is where the space is. If you want a child to be placed in a school, this is the schools that we have available, and there's no other options. Schools that are full. So that is the issue about the application. So we will open it up from the 18th of December until the 31st of January. So on objections and appeals, we're working closely with parents, and as I said earlier, that the appeals are not as many. All right, they are not as many. I think as the MEC that have really got to my desk are not more than 100 so far. Because they've been because they started at the level of district and then they move up. Those that have really gotten to me are so less, because at the level of district they've been able to handle these appeals and objections very well, and parents have been able to work with the districts in that regard. So which is quite pleasing. I used to deal with thousands of them. Now it's significantly less. But I'm anticipating, of course, there might be more later on. But so far, the processes, they've been managed very well at the level between the districts and the head office before it even gets to myself as the MEC. Now, with this, the final outcome of the appeal is the MEC. So my decision, and which will be very well thought out, is the final outcome. So parents need to know that as long as it gets to the MEC's decision is final. There's no other recourse beyond that. So in terms of capacity and intervention, we've begun rolling out mobiles in our schools. We've built satellite schools. We're building satellite schools. Some at advanced stage, such as the satellite school in Teresa Park. In Swane West, we were moving quite well there for both primary and high school, and we also got satellite schools across the province, and we're speaking to a couple of private schools that have been closed due to COVID. There's quite a number of schools that closed down during COVID, private schools. We're speaking to those ones to see how we can find each other with regard. So there's quite a number of interventions that we're putting in place to ensure that we increase our capacity over time. The short term, medium term, and long term. But in the short term, we've provided mobiles in schools that need capacity, and they have spaces. What I was saying to some parents, that you don't want a school full of mobiles alone. It becomes not a school anymore. You know, a school is it's a development center, and you don't develop academically alone. You need to develop socially. You know, you need to develop physically in terms of sports, extramural. We, as parents, are always complaining that sports is no longer there, or it's no longer as amplified in our school. So we want schools to have that aspect of. So even when we supply those extra classes, we do look at that aspect because it's very important. As much as we will learn in class, we need we need sports as well, extra neural activities that need to take place. So we are focusing there as well. We are focusing there. So we tell them that it's a balance. And so, but however, our schools have responded very positively in terms of increasing classroom capacity, accepting our mobiles, and also we've also given them schools funding for building extra classrooms, 1,174 self-built. Some schools have managed to build. They're still building in the process, and that is also forms part of the commitment. Remember, it's a classroom. It should not be. It's not something that should take you. I tell them it shouldn't take you. It's just one classroom. 1 month you can build a classroom literally. If you've got the right contractor with the right material. So we anticipate that during this process they should be able to build enough classroom capacity. So we've given schools to build an additional 1,174 classrooms through ourselves. No, 1,745 is a correct number. 1,745 additional classrooms. So this you can understand the significant capacity improvement that we'll be getting across. So our schools have received, so they're willing to, they're going to start building this school, and that's in around about 606 schools. So it's quite advanced. You will see, parents will see as they begin their new academic year, there will be areas that will be cordoned off in those schools, building additional classrooms. And this funding includes, amongst others, to have furniture and also to be compliant for e-learning, because we look to, because Gauteng province, we're still busy with our rolling out of our smart schools. So these are some of the schools that are able to schools to accommodate capacity pressures that we've created are there. And that includes our satellite schools, private schools that we are speaking to, and those that we have, and some of them are even our schools. So we will share this data with yourselves. So in the new year, we will always begin with a positive note. So on the 17th of January, we'll be at Maibuye. Maibuye will be ready. Contrary to what is being peddled out there, IOL took a picture of rubble. You go to rubble, I mean, you're cleaning, it's a construction site, there'll be rubble. You take a picture of rubble and say, this is what is happening in Maibuye. It's rubble, of course. I mean, we're building. So I hope they come that day, the journalists, and want to take a proper picture of learners in a classroom with an educator sitting on a desk with their material, you know, their books. So we'll be in Maibuye. Maibuye will be open, including Gauteng Secondary in Tshwane as well. We're done with that school, and Brandfisher as well. We'll be done with that school. And obviously there are also much more. There are also schools that we'll be doing a lot of major renovations that will be done with them. But obviously there are too many to mention. I will not be mentioning them now here. But these are the key ones, including Maibuye. Maibuye is the one that I know it's been contentious a lot in the media. So on school safeties, because you know that we firstly here, we want to appeal to our community members that really school is a social, it's a property of society in the main. We can't sit and watch somebody break a school, break into a school, steal a desk, break in a school, take whatever they can take to try to sell. It's not right. You know, we are appealing to our communities that protect our schools, because this is your future. You know, every society has ability to advance or not. It's depending on the quality of their schools. So if infrastructure is forever destroyed by our own community members, and you want the community to advance, how are we going to advance? Because those infrastructure that is supposed to support the development is being destroyed. So we have got a comprehensive school safety program to protect our schools, but all of it will not really be very impactful. We have put out, we've got quite a comprehensive one, but it will not be impactful if the community is not on board. That includes whistleblowers, that includes those who guide our community, that includes just being able to, you know, from time to time as a parent, just or as community member, just looking at the school, is our school right? If you see something not right, or you see someone, you know, get in contact with the relevant police authorities. Help us, you know, help us. Let's protect the schools. So the key of our school safety program is our community, and also our parental school, our parental body, the SGBs, and everyone. So we want all of us to work together to protect our schools more than anything, despite the interventions that we'll be putting in of security, of obviously the collaboration with the SAPS and other law enforcement agencies that we have, that we're working with, and cameras. It's not enough. Communities that should be and is at the center of our safety program. So with regard to the opening of new schools, we are ready. We are ready. The slides, the report is comprehensive for sharing, but we are ready. In terms of our schools, we are ready. In terms of the new academic year, LTSM, we are ready. Our schools have already been prepared with regard to the LTSM, school furniture, considering the impact of the admission process that we are dealing with, where we have managed to conclude the schools have been able to prepare themselves adequately. So we are comfortable that at the beginning of the new academic year, we will have learners will have desks and chairs and the necessary stationery at the beginning of the academic year. So we are comfortable with that. There will be a deployment, as you know, every year, where we deploy different members of the Executive Council in Gauteng across the province to monitor the first day of school. That school begins on time at 7:30. Children should be seated. There should be an educator in front of them. There should be the necessary tools for trade in this regard. Learner LTSM should be ready. And so we will be monitoring, but where we're sitting, the reports that we have and what we've monitored, we know for a fact that we will be more than ready. Schools have managed to procure and source. So at critical, another point that I would want to add is the human resource. I think is the greatest concern. As you know, that as the system grows, obviously there's a greater need of teachers. So we're pleased to announce that we managed to employ 849 new Funza Lushaka graduates. They've been placed in this current academic year of 2023, and we do have another, of course, quite a number within our system. We're sitting at 398 within our own provincial system. 398 that we will consider to be placed, but we're moving as fast as possible to ensure that we really place our Funza Lushaka graduates. So we're using the unemployed educator database, which principals do have access to as well, if they need to. So, and furthermore, we've allocated a total of 45 posts for Teach SA. These are ambassadors to teach math, science, technology, and English for underperforming schools. These are subject specialists. So we allocated subject specialists to assist us there. And we've recently advertised for 110 principal posts in our current vacancy circular. So we will be concluding that process as well, so that those 110 principal posts should be filled. You know that leadership is important in schools. If there's no principal, there's no stability in the school, it does affect its performance and so forth. So we will be concluding that. So what is important about this whole process is that we want our parents to really trust our schools. Gauteng schools, I can tell you now, the best performing schools now in our province are township schools. The recent prelims, I can tell you, the top performing technical high school is a technical high school in a township of Gauteng, the best performing with regard to prelims results. Performing far better than Model C technical schools that you know from the past, that you want your kids to go to. Currently, the top performing high schools in terms of matric results, amongst them are township schools. One school in particular I like to talk about, Raymond Mhlaba, is in the middle of a township called Sepisong by Soweto, that side. Despite the socio-economic condition of that area, those learners are they've passed all of them in the prelims, 100%. So parents should believe and trust us that irrespective of where the school is, we are putting enough resources and capacity. And that talks to even our own model that we have embarked as a provincial government of TISH, which is a focus on township, informal settlements and hostels. So we are seeking to improve not only the quality, but also the infrastructure. Remember, quality and infrastructure in education is linked. So we're investing a lot in improving the infrastructure of our township schools, also the capacity of our educators in those schools. That's why the results are beginning to show. So people always wonder why Gauteng is performing compared to other provinces, irrespective of the large number of quintile 1 to 3. These are no-fee schools in our province. It's because of the investment that we've been doing in terms of capacitating our educators, trying our level best to improve the infrastructure, working with all the relevant bodies to work with us to support our learners. So we've been doing well there. So parents can be rest assured that our schools are good, and we're working around the clock to even assist those that maybe might not be at the state that we want to be. But it's small, it's not a big number. It's quite small compared to the overall schooling population that we have. So with that said, I have a message here, but I will not read it. Thank you very much.
The MEC is used to legislature. They normally say consider it right. We'll share the statement with you. Now, let's take questions. 1, 2, 3. Only 3. Okay, we can take the second round. Okay. Let's start.
Okay, thank you. Hi, MEC. Just some clarity around the mobile classrooms. Are schools being forced to put up these mobile classrooms? Is it voluntary? Can they object? Also, do you have enough teachers for the rollout of these mobile classrooms? I'll start there.
Okay, Fancy.
SABC News. MEC, I'd like to establish whether will this be a recurring issue. I heard you mention that annually there's about 30,000 new entrants to the Gauteng student faculty. Are you not able to prepare beforehand, before the start of the academic year, when children will have not been placed?
Well.
Hi, MEC Zonda, Chiloane from Newsroom Africa. You spoke about the issue of capacity and how you are managing that as a department. And I do believe that one of the reasons is schools that are incomplete, and mine being one of them. I also mentioned that by 2024 it will be finished. Newsroom Africa visited Nairobi not so long ago and spoke to a contractor who reassured us that by January it will be complete. But now the issue here is that that school has been a white elephant for years, and there's been a number of schools that have been in that state. How are you addressing that as a department to avoid, because I mean it's clear that there's an issue of capacity in most schools, hence there are mobile classes. I mean, we even saw the conditions of where children are currently being sheltered at Mayuni, those who are waiting for the new school to be completed.
Okay, we'll come back. Let me see.
Thank you. The HOD will answer one. Let me just get to this one. Yeah, no, educators we do have, we've got more than enough capacity. Within the presentation, maybe I didn't read that there's over 60,000 unemployed educators that are in the system. So we've got more than enough capacity, and we are also ready. Remember, this is what we deal with every year with regard to a growing education system. And every year we get to a point where we comply. After the 10 days we count, and then we know how many learners are in this school, how many educators we need to bring to that school. So we do that every year. Oh, okay. Thank you. So in terms of the growing system, it's not our choice. Let's say we are a victim of our own success. When you have a growing economy, you're providing good quality education, obviously parents will want to bring their children to that province. So we are doing well, and everybody wants to bring their kids here. So it's something that we can't stop, and it's very difficult to plan, because we can't assume that the parents will take Matome Chiloane will take his child from wherever, Limpopo, and bring him. We don't know. But maybe a person is in the villages. I don't want to mean I found my John. So we can't plan there. You can't really plan, but you can anticipate based on data that every year this is what the average number of learners we've been getting. And if you put this into infrastructure, you realize that a school on average must take 1,000 learners. So we'd have to have 13 new schools just to deal with these ones that came in with the system this year. So you can understand the pressure on the system. That's why we're always appealing with our parents. Please work with us. This is the situation we find ourselves. But because we know that we've got a constitutional obligation to ensure that every child of schooling going age needs to be in school, and we are adamant that they will be in school. So work with us in this process. It's not easy. So sometimes you might not get the school that you want, but every school, the preference sometimes I know that parents like it's preference most of the time. Let me put it that way. But our schools, we are working around the clock, and our schools are performing. They are really performing. Township schools have really performed. In fact, last year, the average performance between former Model C schools or Model C schools and township schools, the gap had narrowed to 7%. That is the difference in terms of performance in the National Senior Certificate. So you can see there's not really much of a fundamental difference between these two schools, whether it's in Tembisa or it's in Sentin or Bryanston. The performance is more or less. A school in Tepiso gives you 100%. Your child is in matric, it's in a good school, it's in the township, they'll pass. I don't even want to speak about the bachelor pass, because they're sitting way above some of the former models, way above. Actually, they are carrying Gauteng now, these township schools. They are carrying us. But however, we always prepare and anticipate based on the average, but obviously it all depends. But the research has told us that our system will grow by the size of Free State within the next 5 years. So the whole schooling body of Free State, Gauteng is going to grow by that number. in the next 5 years. So that's how fast Gauteng is growing. I mean, Stats SA, now Assistant General just told us we've got 1 more million households. 1 more million households than we had 10 years ago. So it's massive. It's a massive thing. Incomplete schools. Yes, I agree that it's a problem. The pace in which schools are supposed to be delivered or delivering through our implementing agencies has not been fast enough. That one we must admit. It's the truth. Really, if we were delivering at the pace that we wanted, obviously this would have been mitigated at least greatly. But that's why we have opted for different avenues and different models. Because remember, when there's a problem, you know a problem, and it's pointless to know a problem and not resolve it. So we are looking at different models on how to best deal with this problem. For example, with Maibuye, what we have done, we're able to share responsibilities on completing the school. As the GDE, we are dealing with the internal, inside the school. Inside the school, we are responsible for the building of the school, everything that's happening inside the yard. And then the infrastructure development is assisting us with outside the yard, the issues that are relating to whatever. The engineers will know whether it's pipes of water or whatever. They are the ones who are dealing with it. So it's also a model that you can consider that if it works, which we know is working now, because now Maibuye, within 6 months since we agreed on this model, we're at the doorstep of opening it. So these are some of the models that we're looking at. And also we've engaged other implementing agents. Some have not really come to the party. So we have seen that, okay, this implementing agent has not assisted us. We have put back the infrastructure. The schools that we said they must be, we said, no, bring it. Let's give to those who can assist us. And also our own inherent internal capacity, we are looking into building it up so that it becomes a multi-pronged approach into building this infrastructure. So the incomplete schools, it's a big problem. Yes, I agree with you, because there's quite a number of them. Almost quite a number. We're sitting at over 30 projects plus that if we had completed them, we'll be talking a different story, and they're all in different phases of development. Some have started, some have stopped, some have been a contractor dispute, so it has been a really difficult period. But we've turned the corner. With infrastructure. We are comfortable that we'll be able to resolve this thing. So in the next, like I said, short term, medium term, long term. Short term, obviously these are the interventions of mobiles and self-build. Long term, we need new schools. Medium term and long term. So medium term are schools that we have started to build using different agencies, whether it's our provincial government implementing agency, whether it's other implement agencies. Those are the medium terms. But long term, and long term I don't talk about 5 years or 10 years. I know that usually long term within strategy they speak about. No, long term for me, it should be more than 2.5 years to 3 years. That's very long for me. In my books, as the MEC, that in that period, we should then have built enough schools to really push back, because we need to start pushing back the impact of this growing system. Because if we don't push back, it will collapse eventually. And that is the honest reality. So that's why we're looking at that way. Forcing schools, in fact, this one, forcing schools, no, it's not voluntary. We can't negotiate capacity. We are sensible. You know, there are multiple factors that will really determine if we are going to put mobiles in, but it's an engagement, because the SGB and the schooling body has a responsibility as well to say, but look, you are putting us in a position where we will not be able to provide the quality education based on this. So we say, no, you do this, let's work on this part. It's a collaboration, but it's not necessarily where we knock and say, please take a mobile, please build a classroom. No, we don't work like that. Here it's command and control, but we are sensible.
You still need HOD. It's covered. Okay, HOD. Rufus Mutana. He's now the HOD, he's not acting anymore.
Thank you very much, MEC, and good morning. I just want to, MEC has covered most of the issues which were raised, but I just want to confirm that the schools in Gauteng, particularly the public schools, they are our schools, but we entrusted the governance of those schools in the hands of the school governing bodies. And then you've got principals as the management head of the school. And MEC is correct. When we negotiate capacity or when we determine capacity, we work with them collaboratively. I must say that as a department, we've got the record and data of the capacity of each and every public school in this particular province. Therefore, we know exactly how many learners can a school accommodate in grade 8 and grade 1. And when we feel that there's a need for additional capacity and there's space in the school, we provide mobiles, as indicated in the media briefing. We also provide the money for self-build. But I'm here specifically to respond to the question of resourcing, which was raised in a form of a question of availability of teachers. I can confirm that in terms of resourcing, we've got enough teachers, LTSM and furniture to can provide to all the schools, including the additional mobiles. In fact, for furniture, I've allocated additional 170 million to cover for additional furniture, which will be required to those satellite schools and mobiles. As far as teachers are concerned, we've got normal post-provisioning of teachers in all schools. However, for the 2024 academic year, we've also made provision for what we call growth posts. We've got additional 1,000 growth posts available for any eventuality where schools require additional teachers. Therefore, as a system, administratively and from bureaucracy, we are quite ready for 2024. Thank you.
Thank you very much, HOD. Can we take the second last round? You're the first one. You're the second one. You will be the third sleep. Is there anyone? Yeah, in that order.
All right. It's pure Masidela, how much of the disturbance are the illegal schools or non-compliant